Two things. There we go. All right, now we're recording on both. So I wanted to take just a second and talk briefly about this whole Jacob Blake situation in Kenosha, and because I've had some people ask me, well, what do you think? Well, what I think is that Jacob Blake made a series of decisions, conscious decisions. He made a decision to go to this woman's home um, where he knew he wasn't supposed to be or had been asked not to be. He knew that whatever the outcome there was, that there was a good chance that the police would be called because the homeowner didn't appreciate him being around. And that's in fact what happened. The police showed up, and he made another conscious decision to, I guess, be armed with a knife. I think that's pretty clear at this point from the video that we've all seen and the audio that we've heard, that a scuffle ensued and there was a taser deployed, and you can hear the officers say pretty clearly, "Drop the knife." He ignored both the taser and the officer's commands. It is reported that he made a statement, and I couldn't hear it, but that he made a statement that he was going to his car to get a gun. Now, if that's true, and if he's already resisted, and he's got an active warrant, a felony warrant no less. So at this point, Mr. Blake's made a series of decisions and a series of statements, and there's a series of actions. And as he walks to his car, and there are kids inside that car, and not knowing if the car belongs to him or if the lady on the 911 call was accurate in saying he took my keys. I don't know whose car this is. I don't know if those kids, are they in danger of him taking off with kids in the car? What's going on here? And then a statement that I'm going to my car to get my gun. Those were all a series of decisions made by Mr. Blake that led to him being shot. When the police show up, they have only the information available to work with. They can't read minds, they can't see in the past, and they can't see into the future. They can do none of those things. So it's silly to believe that you can say what they should have done or what they could have done, because there's no way to know. All they know is that they were dispatched to this address because this person wasn't supposed to be there. There was some kind of disturbance. When they arrive on scene, the man is combative. He's armed with a knife. He may or may not have the keys to a car that may or may not belong to him. And he's been tased, he's fought, and then he says, "I'm going to go get a gun." Now, that "I'm going to go get a gun out of my car" part, I haven't substantiated. I haven't been able to find anything. I couldn't hear it on the video. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but set that aside. All of the other actions, if you reasonably believe as a police officer that the lives of other people or your life are an imminent threat of grievous bodily harm or death, then what do you do? What do you do? And I'll leave that to you. I'll leave you to make that determination. It's a tough decision, and it's a decision that has to be made on the spot. It has to be made immediately, and it has to be right. So there's that. And briefly, to the civil unrest, I believe is what the news is calling it, in Kenosha, the peaceful protesting, and the young man who shot 3 people, I think that there is a clear-cut argument to be made for self-defense in watching the video. And I trying to pull the video up and do this like I do most of my videos. It's really difficult to find raw video for this. And you guys at this point, I'm sure, have watched it. But he shot one of the people as he was being rushed. He then ran. He fell. He had a couple of people on top of him. He shot 2 more. It looked like he tried to surrender to the police there. They wound up driving past him to go tend to the victims, I guess. My question is, which, again, there is a clear-cut argument to be made for self-defense in this young man's case, right? Now, he's been arrested, charged with first-degree murder. I understand that. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, because all the details haven't come out. But what is a 17-year-old doing 30 minutes away from home, protecting someone's business? Maybe this is a family business. Maybe, he's got some connection with this business. But he's with a group of other guys that are, doing what they feel like is their duty to protect this business. But it's 17. I mean, yeah, you can enlist in the military at 17, and you should be able to make some reasonable life-affecting decisions. But why are you there? And why are you there with a rifle? And I know they interviewed him before any of this happened, and he said something about going into harm's way, and that's why he brought his long gun with him, and blah blah blah. He had a IFAC, and I think what we need to keep in mind is perception is the cruelest form of reality to everyone. And if you show up there, then the peaceful protesters are going to assume that you're there to fight, because that's what you're presenting to them. Now, I think what happened is that neither side thought that either side was going to do anything. In other words, the rioters and looters didn't think that these civilians were actually going to do anything, and the civilians, the armed civilians, thought, well, I've got a gun, so it's going to scare them away. Well, that's not the case. That's not how it worked out. Both sides were feeling froggy. One side jumped, the other responded, and now you've got one guy in the hospital and 2 people are deceased. But ask yourself, would any of that have happened to this 17-year-old young man, this Rittenhouse kid, had he not been there? Had he stayed home? Now, I don't know what his family life is like. I don't know what he's got going on in his personal life. But again, we go back to decisions. We're making decisions. He made a conscious decision to strap up and go 30 minutes from home and stand guard over a business. That's fine until it's not. So I think that we're probably better served at this point in defending our homes and our businesses than we are putting ourselves in harm's way as civilians on behalf of someone else. And yeah, it sucks that these businesses are getting burnt down, and it's stupid, and the rioters and the looters are opportunists, and they're not interested in honoring anything or anyone as much as they are interested in getting free stuff and causing as much damage as they can, because they fancy themselves to be revolutionaries, and they're not. They're common criminals doing they're common criminals doing common criminal shit at the end of the day. And there are people that get paid to take care of that kind of stuff. So I think it's important that as a civilian, unless it's brought to your doorstep or unless it's inside your bubble, you know, then don't put yourself in a situation where something bad is probably going to happen. Carry every day, everywhere, and defend yourself and defend those around you. And if it's a third party situation that you are able to deal with, then deal with it. But inserting yourself into a riot may not be the best course of action. I'm not saying the kid's right. I'm not saying the kid's wrong. I'm just saying he made a decision to do something, and now he's reaping the benefits of it. So, you know, I'll leave it up to you guys to kind of winnow this out for yourself. I'm not here to give you answers. I'm just here to ask questions, I guess, in this case. But, you know, Jacob Blake made decisions. This Rittenhouse kid made decisions. And now both are living with the consequences of those decisions. So, there we have it. It's been kind of long, but I felt like I should probably touch on it. And I'm a little bothered by the Kenosha Police Department. Nobody's got body cams there, apparently. Apparently they had the money back in 17 or 18 to get the body cams, and they repurposed that money for something else. So, again, there's a decision that they're living the consequences of. Anyway, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Be good at it, and be safe.